up, a Cinema Shogun here, and now that we all know that Carlee Russell is a bold-faced, cheese-it-nibbling liar, of course, naturally, now everyone wants to know if Carlee Russell is going to jail. In fact, let me know what you think down below. Do you think she's going to jail or not? And I want to know, do you think that she should go to jail or not? Now, when answering that question, we have to acknowledge that this is a complicated situation. I mean, in all honesty, it shouldn't be that complicated because clearly Carlee broke a couple of laws here. Clearly, Carlee wasted resources, wasted everyone's time, and we've heard of women doing this before, and they've gotten charged and have gone to jail in the past for doing this. Right off the bat, I can tell you that early on when I sensed that all of this was a lie, I wasn't feeling as if, oh, she's got to go to jail. And even right now, it's not like I'm really passionate about Carlee Russell going to jail. You know, I got other things to worry about in life, and there's so many more evil people that deserve to be taken down. So I'm not like going to get out here and protest, lock Carlee up. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, she lied. She broke some laws, and she should be held accountable. One thing I cannot stop thinking about is the fact that what if some innocent man was snatched off the streets and blamed for kidnapping Carlee? Would Carlee have gone along with it? Would Carlee allow an innocent man to go down for this crime that never even happened? Part of me feels like Carlee would do that. Like, I honestly feel that Carlee, in order to save her own behind, would allow someone to rot in jail to just keep up with her own lies. So, when thinking about it like that, naturally, I do think that Carlee Russell should be held accountable and go to jail. But when I say it's a complicated situation, what I mean is, I feel as if it's going to be up to the public in a weird way. Now, I know you're probably sitting there like, what do you mean it's up to the public? It's up to law enforcement. Not all the time, folks. I know that a lot of people, you see, they live in this illusion. You think, oh, law enforcement's going to do this, law enforcement's going to do that. But the reality is, a lot of times when it comes to situations like this one, it's kind of, in many ways, up to the public. If there is enough public pressure, if the public is still talking about this story, spreading this story around, then I feel like law enforcement is going to feel obligated to charge her. If another big news story breaks out tomorrow and everyone just stops caring about Carlee Russell, if everyone moves on and there's no public pressure behind it, then I feel as if law enforcement may not feel the need to arrest Carlee Russell. Stuff like that happens all the time. Public pressure plays a huge part when it comes to situations like this. And a lot of people don't realize that. But I can tell you right now, if it wasn't for the public pressure, law enforcement would have never have done that press conference the other day. So in many ways, I know everyone's waiting to see what law enforcement is going to do. But at the same time, you better believe it. Law enforcement is sitting behind the scenes waiting to see how the public reacts, How are y'all reacting to this information? Are y'all out here demanding an arrest? Are y'all still out here making this story continue to go viral? Are y'all still out here paying attention to what happens next? Are y'all still out here demanding answers to your questions? Just like we wait to see what law enforcement's going to do and how they react, they look at the public and they wait to see what y'all are going to do and how y'all react. It's not always like that, don't get me wrong. But in situations like this, pretty often, public perception and how the public views things, it really comes into play when they figure out, hey, are we going to charge this person or are we just going to let it go? Also, just to be completely honest, I do believe that the race card will also come into play here, because a lot of people have been trying to play the race card throughout the entirety of this entire situation. Still to this day, even though we all know Carlee is lying, people are still trying to act like there's some type of racial motivation involved when questioning her bogus story. So if law enforcement does decide to hold Carlee accountable, if they do decide to charge her, there's going to be a whole racial aspect of the situation that's going to come into play. And I do believe that law enforcement takes those things into consideration before making whatever move they're going to make. Because I'm going to be honest with you all. These type of situations are already complicated enough. There's already so many layers to a missing persons case. And, there's extra layers to this case because we have all of these lies that we got to go through. And then when you add that extra layer of just racial tensions and all of that nonsense to the situation, it just makes it so complicated. So I think a lot of it will be if law enforcement even feels like dealing with all of that nonsense or not. But I think the longer this drags out, the more they force law enforcement's hand, the worse things may be. Because I honestly believe if Carlee Russell told the truth on that night that she came home, it would be over by now. We wouldn't even be making this video. I don't think law enforcement would have charged her or anything like that. But the fact that they're still dodging law enforcement, they're not answering questions. You got to believe that the public, they're still aggravated. They're probably still calling into the police department. And, you have to think about the fact that Carlee Russell's family, they're out here saying, oh, there's kidnappers on the loose. And they're making law enforcement look bad. Because make no mistake about it, those of us with common sense, we all know that Carlee lied. But people are still out here believing her, okay? And when you have someone basically tarnishing your name, oh, there's kidnappers still out here, so you're basically painting the police officers out to be crooked liars. And even the city of Hoover, Alabama, they don't want that, especially in the middle of July. They probably need all the tourists they can get coming into their town. And now you're telling people, oh, there's kidnappers here. It's not a good look. But I do think it all just comes down to what the public feels and how long the public is going to pay attention to this case and continue to demand answers. But let's go ahead and see what the people on the news have to say about this situation. I'm going to roll this clip. While you watch this clip, go ahead and start dropping your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure everyone hits that like button. We are on the road to 100K. We are getting so close. Help me get there. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Retweet the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this clip and then I'm going to come right back with more
Well,
thoughts.
bizarre new details surrounding a woman's disappearance have many asking whether she's going to face criminal charges. News Nation has been covering Carlee Russell's case from the very beginning when she vanished a week ago, and police say her story doesn't check out. News Nation's Elizabeth Pran has been following the investigation closely. So, Elizabeth, Russell is not missing. That's good news. And it feels like we're no closer to finding out what actually happened to her.
You're so right. If you think about it, just a week ago, there were droves of people searching for Carlee Russell. A week ago tomorrow, she was returned home safe on her own volition, but the detectives are really keeping a tight lip on this case, and that's because they are still in the middle of the investigation. All they're telling us is that the one person who they do want to speak with at this time is Russell. There's also renewed attention on some of the tweets that she sent out. These tweets were sent out less than 40 minutes before that 911 call. Look at the first one. It says, "Yeah, I want a family now." You see the tear emoji. "Someone to tell you I love you and don't got a reason." And the last one was less than 20 minutes before that call came in. It said, "Today was a great day. God be looking out. I'm telling you." Detectives say that they're looking at every piece of single evidence that they are receiving. A top concern right now is just how much money went into this massive search that underwent 49 hours. We spoke with Eric Guster. He is a local trial attorney in Birmingham, not related to the case. We asked him what charges she could possibly be facing. He said first and foremost theft, because allegedly there were items taken from her place of business. The second one could be false statements. Every single statement that she made to police, he says, could be a charge. And the last one would be a false report. If you remember, the police chief said that there was not a missing toddler on that night that she allegedly went missing. A lot of unanswered questions, Kelly, as we head into the weekend.
Absolutely, and a lot of twists and turns in this case. Elizabeth Pran, thank you for ironing out the details for us. Joining us now, former federal prosecutor Pat Brady. So, Pat, great to have you. Initially, Russell's parents and boyfriend went public with their support, and now it seems there are cracks forming in her inner circle. Do you think she will face charges?
Yeah, that's a tough call. And I think in these cases, it's basically what the public interest is. And you just touched upon, the amount of money this took away from law enforcement to chase her around for 2 days. But there are a lot of cracks in this case. And clearly, it appears that she made all this up. But in making this decision, the comparison I can make, I'm here in Chicago. Remember Jesse Smollett came up with that story about the MAGA supporters. We're going to throw a noose around his neck and they beat him up on Lower Wacker Drive. Well, the public interest there was that he could have created a race riot in a major city, and he was appropriately charged and convicted. Now, in this case, I'm guessing if I'm the prosecutor, I'm looking to see first and foremost, check her story out completely. But second, probably there's a mental health component to this. I mean, this is, I don't see right now any evidence that she was making a lot of money off this. If there's a GoFundMe page or some other reason she did it other than that she just wanted attention. So I think that probably cuts against her ever being charged, but she should certainly be held responsible for what the expenditures law enforcement made.
And to your point, how do police determine if this was a mental health crisis of some kind? And would that influence their decision whether or not to press charges in this case?
Yeah, even the charges you were mentioned before, those are low level felonies at best and likely misdemeanors. So law enforcement, I think rightfully so, has now started focusing more in all across the country on the mental health component of people that violate the law. And I know that here in Chicago and other places, they get intensive training on police officers do and law enforcement in general on mental health. So I think they're going to take a good long look in that. But if you're living down there and you had all these officers off the street chasing this story down and incurring all these costs on a weekend, she needs to pay that back. So that probably is how the decision will be made. But it sounds like from the evidence I've seen, just it's been publicly reported, it's pretty clear that she made the whole thing up.
All right. We'll see what the facts bring. Pat Brady, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Kelly. Have a good afternoon.
So, yeah, they definitely share some of the same opinions as me. But one other factor that I think is really going to come into play here, one factor that's going to determine if Carlee Russell goes to jail or not, is what did she do that day that she went missing? And was Carlee Russell running from a crime that she committed in the first place? A lot of people think that Carlee Russell wanted to run off and make her boyfriend jealous. Maybe she wanted to run off and worry her family. Maybe she wanted to run off with a new boyfriend, a new fling. But what if Carlee was running away from something, not someone, but what if Carlee was running from something that she did? Something that she knew she would get in trouble for. So I think that's something that we have to think about here. Because I see so many theories out there that Carlee could have wanted to leave the house because of this. Maybe Carlee ran away because of this. But I don't see a lot of people talking about, what if Carlee committed some type of crime that we're totally unaware of right now, and that's what influenced Carlee to try to skip town and disappear. But also, I think another factor that we have to think about is Carlee's job. What did Carlee actually steal from her job? We know for a fact that Carlee stole toilet paper and a robe. I don't think that Carlee's job is going to want her to go to jail over a robe and some toilet paper. But did Carlee steal money from her job? That is the big question here, if you ask me. Because we know for a fact that Carlee Googled how to get away with stealing money out of a cash register. How can you steal money from a cash register and not get caught? That leads me to believe that either Carlee Russell stole money from her job or she was planning on doing so, and maybe she didn't. But knowing that, you got to believe that Carlee's job is probably looking over a lot of stuff right now. Because now we know that Carlee's a dishonest person. There's no telling, Carlee could have been stealing money out of the cash register at her job for a long time. But then again, maybe she never did. But at the very least, I do believe that if Carlee did steal money, then at the very least, they're going to charge her for that. Even if they don't charge her for any of this other nonsense, if she went into the cash register at her job and stole money, I find it hard to believe that they will just let that go as well. So I think all in all, there's a huge possibility that Carlee gets charged with something. But at the same time, if these other factors do not come into play, I think it's going to be up to the public if they demand for Carlee to be held accountable or not. Let me know your thoughts about all of this, though, down below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.